Medical laboratories are always on the lookout for healthcare professionals who are willing to give their expert opinion on the latest medical breakthroughs. All Global Circle offers healthcare professionals the opportunity to shape the medical industry by participating in surveys that are relevant to their specialty. Receive $50 of sign-up bonuses and get paid for participating in studies by giving your opinion. Sign up today, impact millions of lives, and go to allglobalcircle.com. Welcome to the Happy Doc, the voice of fulfilled physicians, sharing life stories from physicians, health professionals, and entrepreneurs so that you can live your happy life. Hello, everyone. This is Taylor, and I'm doing another live stream episode, but this will also be going on to the Happy Doc podcast. I haven't been on for a while, so I'm super excited to record and get into this episode for today. So there's been a lot of craziness in my life recently. I've had so many tough things happen, and it's been a challenge to sort of navigate different things that have just come up, with work, with the pandemic happening. My car broke down, having some business problems and some of the stuff I'm creating. So there's been a bunch of craziness happening in my life. And I think one of the parts that's super important to manage that is something I'm going to talk about in this episode. So I'm going to get into a simple technique that I've been really implementing over the past week, and I wish I continue to do this more often, because when I get into this concept, you'll understand it's almost one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself. So I do a lot of work in psychology, in the field of psychiatry, and one thing I'm learning to understand is the power of the mind is super important. If our head, if our mind, if our mental state is out of alignment, if we can't get our head into the right space, the rest of our day or how we want to operate is going to be super difficult. So I'm going to get into this concept for today, and that's called mental priming. And so priming in terms of psychology is simply doing something or setting up a certain set of stimulus that ultimately is going to impact the rest of the stimulus that you experience. And in this case, what I'm really talking about is positive mental priming. How do we get our heads into a positive state so that we can operate at our highest level and we can enjoy and experience life at an improved level? So we're going to get into that into this episode. Before I get into mental priming and how we're going to start to tackle that concept, I want to talk about how our brains are automatically programmed. So through evolution, through the process of what human beings are, we are naturally programmed to look at fires, to look at the terrible things, to look at the fear that's going to happen in our lives. And the reason that we're programmed to look at fear is it protects us. If there's a bear, if there's a tiger, if there's going to be a famine, if there's going to be something that's going to get in the way of our survival, it is super important that we look at all the negative aspects of our lives. Now, as a physician, I'm trained to look at the worst case scenario to figure out how to protect that, right? But our brains are constantly programmed to look at what's going to attack us, look at what's going to be scary, look at the thing that's going to mess up our lives, look at the things that are going to make us super fearful. And so that can be something that if we just let our automatic thoughts and let our brains run wild, we're going to constantly look at the negative aspects of life, and we're going to let that negative automatic thinking get in the way of the positive parts of what we can do with our minds. Now, our minds are not us. Our minds are a tool we use to help us operate in life in the physical reality. So if we let this automatic thinking train just pull us into the negative aspects of things, and we don't take control of our mental state, if we don't find ways of generating something to clear our minds or get ourselves into the right state. Our automatic thinking is going to get us into this negative state. We're going to get stuck in fear. We're going to get stuck in feeling like we're in a slump and we cannot operate. So I'm going to talk about this right away as we get into some of the techniques and stuff for mental priming. So ultimately, what I want to really get into for this is it's so important to figure out a way to get into a good start, get into a rhythm to your day, get into a flow that you can ultimately operate with and work with so that you can be your best self. The Happy Dog Podcast, it's all about feeling fulfilled, finding enjoyment in your life, finding a way to elevate your energy so you can experience life at a higher level, so you can experience life at a higher level with those you are with. So I'm going to hop into this technique. So mental priming as a technique is ultimately you're setting up yourself. The way I'm going to describe it is you're setting your morning up in a way that you're going to do this technique. And when you do this technique, you're going to set yourself up for success. So I'm going to get into some of the concepts. I'm going to break down the 3 steps to do this. Number 1, you're going to increase your heart rate, or you're going to do something that's going to increase your energy, such as a brief exercise. That could be doing some jumping jacks in the morning. Maybe it's a set of push-ups. Maybe it's a breathing technique. I actually use a breathing technique, but a quick set of exercises. Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it's some yoga movements. You're going to want to spend 2 to 3 minutes just starting to move in the morning. Get some motion. Get some stretching in. Get something to take that deep breath. Go on a very short walk. Just get out of your head and start moving, increasing the energy in your body. If you do this, you're going to start to be more in tune with the physical world, not so stuck in your head, and you're going to start to increase your heart rate, increase your energy. This is step 1. It's super important to get that brief, and again, I mean brief, like 2 to 3 minutes of some motion to get your day started so your mind is starting to get into that positive motion. Now, this step is really great. Number 2 is super important, and that is to visualize or create your mental happiness playlist. This is going to be 2 to 3 minutes where after you've gone moving, you're going to take a second, you're going to sit down and you're going to start to relax, and you're going to go into your mind and you're going to pull up the top things that have happened in your life, things that make you super proud, things that make you feel good, moments with your family, moments that you had a success, moments that brought you joy. Moments in your life where you're with people you loved, whatever that playlist is, and just feel what it feels like to be in that moment. Feel the joy of that moment. Feel the gratitude of that moment. Feel the freedom of that moment. Be in this sort of state where you feel super good and really focus in on that moment. You're going to start to generate those positive emotions in your system. You're going to start to create this opportunity where like, wow, I feel so good right now. So you're creating this mental happiness playlist in your mind. You're visualizing this moment. You're taking it all in. And this is going to start to flood your system with endorphins, with those good feelings. You're going to feel super connected. And it's going to ultimately allow you to get into a really great positive state. And before I go into the next step, the reason this is so important is if you think about it, especially if you've kind of felt run down or you've felt like you've been in sort of a negative mindset, when was the last time you took a moment just to like appreciate the good things that have happened in your life? When was the last time you went down this list? When was the last time you pulled into your mental cookie jar, your mental space, and just like what have I done that's good? What's made me feel good? Like what has allowed me to enjoy my life? What are some moments in there I could be like, wow, I did that. I was there. I accomplished that. I was part of this moment. I was part of this team. I was at this concert. I was with these friends. What are those moments? Create that playlist. It'll help you get into this appreciative and grateful mindset. And then number 3, after you've flooded your system with those positive emotions, you're going to imagine already accomplishing your top 3 goals or your top future accomplishments. You're going to go into the future and you're going to start to focus on those moments that you can look into the future and imagine as if you've already achieved them, as if you've already gotten to that moment that you want to get to. Like you've succeeded in that business you want to start. You have your epic, amazing relationship. You're with your family and you're having an amazing meal, whatever the thing is going to be for you. You've accomplished the research paper you wanted to get done. I have no idea what it is for you, but imagining those 3 top goals, those 3 future accomplishments, and literally living in that moment, being in that moment and feeling the emotions of what it would feel like if you succeeded in that dream. Now, the reason this can be super helpful is by priming your mind to envision that feeling, you're sending this signal to your head. You're telling yourself that, wow, if I accomplish these things, I'm going to feel so good. I'm already feeling it. You're feeling those emotions. And that positive mindset, that gratitude, that feeling of being in that space propels you to actually want to accomplish those things. It's very difficult to create motivation in a state of negativity. It's far easier to create motivation when you're already feeling the feelings. A lot of people say, I don't want to do this because I don't feel like it. Well, what mental priming does when you do this exercise is you feel the emotions first. So then you actually feel motivated to do the things because you're feeling the emotions. So a lot of people don't feel like doing something. What I'm telling you to do is feel it first, so then you can jump into actually executing this thing. So I see a comment from Suzanne Atkinson. I'm just going to pull it up to our stream here. Suzanne says, super advice. Thanks for doing these. Suzanne, thank you so much for commenting on the video. I really do appreciate it. I'm just going to have the live stream on for a couple minutes. I'm just going to hold here. But that's mental priming. It's super important. And I can tell you that it works. I used to do it a lot. And I would say another aspect to this that's really important is if you're going to do mental priming, if you're going to do some of these exercises that I talked about, over time, the best thing to do is to create a routine around it. Do something in the morning to get you into mental priming so then you can operate at a higher level. In the morning, it's super important because if we do it right in the morning, if we create mental priming techniques and exercises in the morning, it's going to set you up for success in order to tackle the day from the start. Obviously, you can do this at any time, maybe not at nighttime because you don't want to get too excited, right? But the earlier, the better. It's really going to set you up for success. And if you have any suggestions on any of the things that you'd like to hear about, ideas, concepts, I'm definitely all about it. So I want to appreciate your time today for taking a listen and watching the stream. And I'll definitely be back soon for another episode. Thanks, guys, for watching, and take care. And that's the episode for today. I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. As always, guys, one thing I'd like to ask from you today is if you enjoyed the podcast, if you are enjoying the content, please leave a review on the podcasting app of your choice. It helps us so much, and it lets us know exactly what you're thinking and what you're enjoying from the podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.